Oh, I'm looking at the wrong side. I did it. I just said that. Hello, this is Justin with Between the Studs, and today we have another special guest. We have Noah. We are also joined with Chris for anyone just listening and not watching. Noah, you are a huge Lego fan. And you are from Germany, correct?
Correct.
So what Noah's going to tell us about is how Lego is viewed or played with or whatever, basically the European mentality outlook of the Lego toy. I'm very fascinated about this, and also he's going to tell us just kind of his story. How did you find us? How did you wind up here sitting between two studs?
That's right. Well, all right. So, yeah, my name is Noah, and I come from Germany. I'm a half German, half American. And
which half? The left or the right?
I guess this half. Because of like being half and half, I'm able to go back and forth between the United States and Germany. Be obviously here for like events like BrickFair and Brick Rodeo this year. Whereas like Germans and a lot of Europeans can't travel over at the moment, which is a sad thing because like a lot of my friends would be here with me if they could. I'm here for those conventions. I'm also seeing friends. And I guess, just seeing what the U.S. has been like, in the past, 2 years. I haven't been here, so that's what I've been doing.
And your grandparents live here, right?
Correct, yeah. I have a bunch of relatives and grandparents that live around actually this area as well as down south in Florida. That's what I've been sort of doing, getting to see them. And it's been fun. It's been fun being here for the month.
So you're almost here like an exchange program almost, because you met John, was it recently or a while ago?
I've known John since like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've known him on Flickr or on Instagram for a while now. I've known Mark as well and a bunch of the other people that, work or have been associated here at Bavarian Brick Co. And so it's been fun getting to see them again after all these years. I hadn't seen Mark in like, I think 4 years or something like that. So getting to see them, getting to see their creations that were obviously on display, and also getting to, get to know them even more because like, there's only so much you can talk about online. Yeah. Versus like in person, you can talk about all kinds of things and joke around and have shenanigans and all kinds of stuff. So,
shenanigans.
Are you in one of the same lug groups as John?
I am not in the same group. John is in Empire Lug, whereas I am in Rebel Lug. I did help found...
Oh, they're not the same thing?
No, they're not the same thing. No. A lot of people think that, but...
no, I'm kidding.
That's right.
But Rebel Lug, is that an international lug, obviously, right?
Rebel Lug is an international lug. We have like... Okay. At this point, we're pretty much split between both Europe and the U.S. We did have some members spread around in like Australia, for example, and other places, but right now it's more concentrated in those two areas. And then we do like a couple of main conventions. So we obviously have like BrickFair, we have Brick World Chicago, and then in Europe we have Brick in Bavaria, which is down in Germany, in the south of Germany, and then hopefully in the future we're going to be expanding to like Scareback, which is a convention in Denmark hosted by Lego. So. That's where we're concentrated when we do our conventions and our setups. At this point, we're at like 13 or 14 different countries.
Oh, wow. So
that's
how many members would you guess that you guys have?
I think the last count was about 55, 54, 55. We don't just do Star Wars, even though, as the name suggests, we're rebels.
Wow.
But we do all kinds of stuff. So we have like a lot of medieval builders, Lord of the Rings. We have a lot of space builders as well. Sci-fi is like a real main thing. And then we also have some apocalyptic style builds or builders that do mocks in that style. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different themes that are going on ever since like we had the group founded back in like 2015 actually, if you really want to go all the way back. So
you hitchhiked from BrickFair, Virginia down to Atlanta.
Correct.
Yes. And you actually rode back with John and Justin.
Yes.
That's right.
Kind of spur of the moment thing, kind of?
It just sort of happened at Brick Rodeo. Mm-hmm. I was like talking to John at one point and mentioning like I don't have really a ticket back to Florida, which is where my grandparents are. And so then we sort of got into conversation about, hey, what if you came down to Atlanta? What if you came down to the shop? And I was like, well, that's something I would love to do. That's like one of the other bucket list items I want to do. And so, yeah, we had a good trip down, I would say. I mean, we had a lot of interesting music conversations.
While you were in BrickFair, Virginia,
did you
win anything?
I did. I won the award for Best Landscape and Scenery for my cleansing on New Plimto mock. So
Sweet. Well,
nice.
congratulations once again.
thank you very much.
Is that your first award, or have you won something?
First nomination and first award at BrickFair. I've won an award at a Croatian convention in the past, but this is like my first proper award that I've won and with a trophy.
Nice.
So it was a great honor from like all the BrickFair people. I had some very interesting competition. We had like a lot of just castle builders. It was the only Star Wars build. And luckily, because I decided to upload a picture, I think that gave me a pretty good chance at like winning the competition, being able to like pull an edge, maybe a landslide victory in this whole thing.
I love how it's so Lego, right? When they hand you the award, it's just in a bag. It's a bag of pieces.
It was so simple too.
It's like
it was
you build it. You build your own award. I love that.
It's like, yeah, they just put it behind my build. I remember me and Mark walking to the build, and I was super nervous about it. And he's like, "Hey, you won." I look, and the award isn't there. I'm like, "Wait a minute, you trolled me." And it's behind the build in a bag. And I was like,
Yeah,
"All
it's
right."
just.
And you just won the one award?
Yep.
Oh, okay, because I know Mark won 2.
Yeah, Mark wins so many awards. So what can you do? Mark,
Actually, I was told that winning 2 awards for the same mock is extremely rare.
that is extremely
So,
rare
yeah.
because a lot of times, like the judges like to split the awards and make sure that everybody sort of has an equal
Yeah.
chance. But I think, if I remember that correctly, Mark was telling me that he got like 5 times the amount of votes for both of
It
the
was just
awards.
such a landslide.
So that it was like there was no choice but to have to give him
Yeah.
the awards. So
And that's actually nice of them. Try to spread out so more people get it.
Oh, yeah.
right,
But like when it's a landslide like that, you got to recognize.
gotta do it like that. I mean, I think his was like the lighting was just impeccable.
So let's talk about Lego in Europe. Now
Yes.
you've lived in Germany your whole life, basically. You were born there. You
Half. How about half?
Okay,
yeah,
half
about
your
half my
life.
life.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, I was born in Germany, and in 2007 is when I moved to the United States, and then 2015 is when I moved back to Germany with my family, and so a little bit more than half of my life has been in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It's been interesting seeing both sides, seeing the German side and the American side.
So you have no accent, just to prove to people watching and listening. Can you say some phrase, some Lego-y phrase in German?
What would you like me to say?
I love building with Lego.
Ich liebe mit Lego-Steinen zu bauen.
There you go.
Yeah, it sounded pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
Zusammenzubauen. Also,
you'd
Liebe
fool
ist-
me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's about that. Yeah.
Justin, you speak.
I know Ich liebe
German.
is I love, so
Okay.
that's
That's right. That's
about.
correct.
I recognize the word Lego somewhere in that
Yeah,
sentence.
yeah. I can also say it slower. It's Ich liebe mit Lego-Steine zu bauen.
All right, that sounds pretty German to me.
Steine is
Yeah.
bricks, and then bauen is obviously build together.
Oh,
So,
okay,
yeah.
got it. Okay, yeah. I can say speed limit. Geschwindigkeitsbegrenzungen.
Yes, that is good. That is really good.
It's so long they can't put it on their signs. They just say tempo limit.
They just say, yeah.
Because otherwise
okay.
people would run
Yeah.
into the sign that said
Yeah.
Geschwindigkeitsbegrenzung.
I think it's so funny, like seeing signs there, and then you think like the other European countries would try and do something like that, but then you go into like the Czech Republic, and it's these signs.
Anyway, let's talk about Lego. Now, most of your answers will, of course, be from the more German-centered mentality, but you can answer some of it from Europe in general.
Right.
I want to know, and Chris and I both have a ton of questions, so we'll just go back and forth.
Yeah, no problem.
You're in the hot seat. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Is Lego cheaper in Europe?
Depends on how you look at it. From a sets perspective, going to, for example, the Lego store and just buying a set, no, it's a little bit more expensive by about 10 to 20%. Depends on, because we also have the euro amounts. If you, for example, buy a $100 set, over there it's going to be €100. That's already 20% more. Whereas,
wow.
I mean, if you take away the fact that you guys have to pay for like extra sales tax on top of that, so I guess maybe it's more like 10 to 15% varying on the state, but it's still like more over there buying like a Lego set at the store. If you're buying parts, that's where things get cheaper, and as well as like minifigs, because a lot of bricklinkers, if you've obviously seen, like for example, some bricklinkers will have anywhere from 100 to 1,000 of a minifigure, whereas here in the States, he's a little bit harder to come by, and then the price is about maybe even 2 times the amount.
How do they have connections with Lego distributors? Is that how these people are getting it? Or are they just ordering it raw off of bricks and pieces? And because it's it's cheaper, they can order more.
I think it has to do with a mixture of getting it directly from Lego. I think part of that is like the factories are all like a lot of factories are nearby in Germany, so a lot of times there's probably like deals set up that are at those factories with those people, and so they're able to get a supply that's a lot quicker and a lot cheaper from those places. So that way they can sell it for much cheaper than Bricklink averages.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've noticed on Bricklink in the United States, you have a lot of sellers out in California that will have mass quantities of certain parts or figures or something like that. And they're cheaper because they're in such high quantities. But I'm also
Right.
assuming that they're getting them from China, from the Chinese factories, just comes into the LA port there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard because of that, the same thing. It's cheaper to buy Lego in bulk in California than it is on the East Coast.
I've heard of that, and I've also heard of like the fact that California is right near Mexico, and so a lot of times because they have a factory there in Mexico, I think from what I've been told, a lot of times figures and like different rare parts are able to like sneak over or be brought over and then be sold obviously in the United States, and that's how these Californian sellers are able to get so many of them.
Oh, okay.
Fell off the truck.
Fell off the truck.
What's interesting though is there are different parts that you get in bulk in California versus different parts that you get in bulk in Germany or other European countries. So, like, you see a lot of Bricklink sellers in Czechoslovakia because there's a factory, factory in Czechoslovakia.
Right.
But they're totally different parts. Like, I've been ordering bulk animals from China, and they have them cheapest there. Certain ones that are coming out in newer sets.
So it depends on where
And they
that
don't-
piece is made.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they don't have them in Germany, and they don't have them in the U.S.
Besides buying direct from Lego, either online or going to a physical location, where is the best place to buy it? Like here, we have Target, we have Walmart that has pretty good prices.
Yep.
Walmart discounts their Lego sets sometimes
Wonderful
upon
discounts.
arrival.
Yep, wonderful.
Does something like that exist in Germany or Europe?
Mostly, if there is anything like that, it's gonna be online. There's a couple of really good stores, toy stores that are like growing at the moment, and they do sell a lot of items online at like a discounted rate right as the sets come out. But like there are most places they sell it right at the MSRP,
Okay.
and they don't sell it at a discounted rate like a Target or Walmart. Like I know with like the Shang-Chi sets, if I remember that correctly, they had those at like 20% off right away when they were at Walmart. That was a shock for me. I was like, okay, I hadn't seen anything like that before. But in times like with the Harry Potter items or maybe some Star Wars items, I don't know if you guys have heard of the store JB Spielwaren. They, like, for example, it's very well known.
Sounds kind of like KB Toys?
Yeah.
Similar, I guess you could say. But like they're very well known now in Germany and also growing in Europe, and they will sell items like the Harry Potter sets. I remember those were being like I think 10 or 15% off, or they had a deal for like 8 501st battle packs, and you get them like for basically €24 a piece, which is like for us really good because we rarely get any good discounts on like the smaller items. So there's that, and then there's also Smith Toys, which is like the basically the new version of Toys R Us in Europe, and those places or those stores have like sets for 20-25% off.
And they have physical toy stores?
That's
Smith
right.
Toys?
Yeah, they have.
Are they
physical
pretty
toy stores.
big, like Toys R Us?
About the same. In fact, I think a lot of their buildings actually come from like the old Toys R Us stores. So they're able to just. I think they just took those stores and said, "All right, we're now putting a new name on it, and then putting the product back in."
Do they deal in used toys at all, or are they
Nope.
just total retail?
It's like Toys R Us. It's just Smith Toys.
So it doesn't sound like there's very much clearance shopping
Nope.
in Germany.
No, it's not like here in the U.S. where you can go to a Walmart or a Target and get sets for 50-70% off.
Yeah.
Like that's that.
Well,
I would love. I would love to have that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But then again, you have to look at also some of the positives, and that is like we get pieces and minifigs a lot of times cheaper than you guys. So while you guys get the whole package, we get the individual items, and a lot of times most people don't want the sets, so they're going to want to have the individual items, and so that's where we come in, and we're able to, or a lot of German stores are able to come in, take those pieces, and then obviously sell the individual units or individual things to people that want them.
So back when I looked into opening a retail store about 7 or 8 years ago, a brick and mortar store. I had read an article that Germany consumes more Lego than the United States, which is extremely hard to believe. And this was a statistic from Lego.
Right.
Given the size of Germany versus the size of the United States, it's like, holy cow, there's so much more opportunity for Lego to grow in the United States, because of that. I mean, if we were to consume it at the ratio that Germany does. Mm-hmm. So is that felt in Germany? Like, or is almost like every other person in the Lego?
I don't believe that Germany consumes more Lego than the United States, because you guys have like a population that's, I think, 3.5 times bigger than ours. Maybe even more than that by now, from like when I last checked. But what I will say is that we do have a large quantity of bulk parts throughout like all the different German stores. So I guess we could be probably up there. It might even be that we do have more. It's just I don't really see that all too much. There is a presence felt where like we're up there with like having the most Lego bricks, obviously, or the most Lego sets or whatever.
But
so
either way, Germany is a country that is really into Lego in general.
Correct, right.
Compared to your average country.
You have a huge like AFOL population that like will build a lot of city-related items. You have a huge, very professional AFOL population that does a lot of like Flickr and online builds. I know of plenty of them that are from like the old Flickr ages or days, and that have now like come over to Instagram and now build, and they have huge collections of pieces. So like, yeah, it's definitely felt there. Like with all the like, there's a lot of fans. It's very strong over there. Now, obviously,
so it's common to run into other people that are really into Lego at the store or workplace or something like that.
Yeah, most times when I'm going there to get Pick-a-Brick, there's a lot of people that are also getting Pick-a-Brick at the same time. Or when you go for a Lego store opening, there's plenty of the AFOLs that I see on a regular basis. I'm like, all right, what's up here?
You were telling us before the camera started rolling that there's a different attitude, or at least within some people in the AFOL community, that you don't see as much in America, or at least at the conventions that you've been to. Could you describe that a little bit, what you meant by that?
There's obviously this thing that I've realized being on both sides of the community here, the American side and the German side. And that part of that is like, there's this thing called like the old guard, like the old AFOLs that have been around for like 30, 40 years. And so those guys like to keep to themselves, like to keep within their own group and only selectively add certain people to that. And I feel like that was an American thing that I had talked about with a couple of people that were close to those people. And so I've realized the same thing is sort of in Germany, but in a different fashion. They like to still add actually like younger people into their group, but they like to keep once again to themselves, and anything that's like sort of outside that group they sort of see in a way as like inferior to what they're creating or what they're like putting out there on Flickr, whether it be on Instagram, whatever it may be. And so, and a lot of times that can be with like Lego City. It could also be with like the very like complicated builds that a lot of people on Flickr make. There's different categories in where all these different AFOLs place. I guess the more common thing that I've seen now is with Flickr and how there are all these expert builders, and they like to include some of these younger people, but it's only so many of them. And again, people that like myself, I've had this effect at times. I'll build something, really put my hard work into it, and I'll ask certain AFOLs, hey, what do you think about this? And so then they'll sort of look at it, but they won't give me an answer. They'll be like, yeah, it's interesting, it's good, I like it, but there's no real feedback that's towards that. The feeling that I've anyways gotten over the years, perfecting, I guess, my skill within the Lego hobby is this like sort of sense of they want to say something, but at the same time they feel like if they say something it might encourage me to like get do even more or do even better. That makes sense.
So they don't want to encourage you to improve.
It's I guess in a way it could be like looked upon like that. That's what I've anyways felt when I've seen like all these different AFOLs look at my stuff. Like there's certain people that I've talked to outside of like just the online space. I'll talk to them in real life about my creations. They'll say something about it, but then online they don't say anything. They don't like comment on something that I've made. And I could care less if they follow me or they like something that I made. Just the comment would make my day, would make me think, man, I really appreciate that someone took their time out of their day to write something. Because that's the way I look at it. If somebody that I know has made a creation, really put in 5 or 6 months, like for example, Jonathan put like 5 or 6 months into that Mandalorian build that he made. And I told him in person, I was like, this is fantastic. I even wrote a message online. I was like, I love this build. This is really great. And I explained to him some of the different things that I enjoyed about it. That little thing, like even if it's like a comment or a message that you send to that person that only takes like 2 or 3 minutes to write, I think that is something that they will appreciate. And that's what I'm trying to do as like who I am. As a younger A-fall, like that's what I'm trying to bestow upon T-falls or K-falls that are now, coming into the LEGO community, perfecting their skill. And so hopefully what I'm, I guess like what I am saying, not that I look at myself as like up there, but that what I'm saying to them encourages them to continue to build in that art. And so that they can look upon back one day and maybe even say, hey, listen, I got here because, these A-falls came to me and said, I really appreciate what you're doing. And, hopefully maybe they name me by who I am and say, hey, Noah helped me perfect what I'm doing. And, that even if they told me that in private, that would mean more to me than like if they said it online. I could care less about that. It's just the fact that of me knowing like, hey, I helped them get to that where they were.
Okay.
A-falls in general, I think in Germany, I feel like there's less encouragement at times. And
with the old guard.
With like the old guard. With like
right.
with like these older builders or even like these builders that again like to keep into their groups.
I can tell you why. Probably because they're not online.
That's one portion.
They're not
of it.
online.
Yeah, that's one portion of it.
That's a good point.
What themes didn't take off in Germany? Did Nexo Knights take off? Did Chima take off? Monkey Kid?
Monkey Kid, I have seen a couple of builds, but like with the other two, there's not much that I've seen. So
were they even for sale?
They were for sale. Like in LEGO stores, after a couple months, like Monkey Kid stuff was on sale for like 30-40% off. Like now that's the stuff that gets on sale. But it's like the Star Wars things don't really get on sale, or if you want some of the superhero stuff, you're going to have to wait. And if it's on sale, it's maybe at most 20% off. And then again, I still look at that and I think, okay, well, I could get that in the US for this much off versus here, it's 20% off. And then, you kind of compare the numbers, and in my head, I can't really justify buying a $100 set when all I want is like 2 figures out.
Do you guys have any official LEGO stores in Germany?
Yes, we have plenty of them. We have actually where I am from, Munich, we have 2 of them in there, which is about 30 minutes away by public transport. So it's easy to get there. And usually when I go to the one, I usually go to the other one as well and then go get items from both stores. So, there's plenty of LEGO stores. I think we have about 20, maybe a little less, but around 20 stores. Yeah.
20 stores.
Yeah. So
that is a lot.
That seems like a lot. Yeah.
For a country that's the size of
about Texas.
One of our states.
Texas. Yeah.
Because we have 2 in Atlanta. And people freak out about that. Like, you have 2 in one city?
And a lot of times you have cities, like I think Berlin has 2, if I remember that correctly. Hamburg has 1, but I know that cities like Essen, which is like towards the northwest of Germany, like around that, there's a couple of cities that like have a whole bunch of LEGO stores as well. So there's like 4 of them within maybe a 2-hour radius.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of them. We also have Legoland and Discovery Centers. So that also ties in. You can, I guess, also throw those into the bunch of like stores where you can purchase Lego sets. So
you guys have Discovery Centers too?
We have 1. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Is it like the ones here where
it's in a mall?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That's right.
How close to Billund, Denmark are you?
I guess if you drove from Munich, it would be like 12 hours, 11 hours. Yeah, by car.
Right.
Around
it's doable.
It's doable. Yeah. I mean, I don't go there often. I maybe once a year, but when I do go,
that's better than most.
Yeah,
that is better than most. Yeah, it's not like you have to fly overseas where in the U.S. you can just drive up.
Were you saying earlier that you walk into somewhere? Is it actually Lego headquarters and they're playing one of the Lego movie songs there?
So when I mentioned that earlier, not that the Lego movie Everything is Awesome song is bad, but when you go into the Legoland park that we have in Günzburg, they play that song consistently around the park. And so it's sort of like stuck into my head, and every time I hear it, it's like it plays in my head for another hour after I've left the park. And so it gets very annoying very fast. So
they don't translate it in German, do they?
Nope, it's in English. Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Now I have heard that song a lot. I don't think it's ever annoyed me. It is a good song, and everything is awesome. So I mean, it's great.
Everything is awesome when you're part of the team.
You don't want to hear any song 1,000 times.
Exactly. Like a lot of the songs that they play at the Legoland Park in Germany, they play all of them in English.
Quick tangent. When I was in Germany, I asked our host family, what's popular German songs? What do you guys play on the top 40? And they're like, it's all American songs. It's all in English.
That's true.
And is that still true
It's
today?
still true to this day. There are so many songs that I will hear like consistently, even after 2 years of them being out, that they'll play on the radio, and people like will listen to that. I don't know how they can listen to that, but they can for 2 years apparently. So
That's so, like, it's so weird. I think as Americans, we don't realize how much. I always say America's real export, worldwide export, is our culture. Our pop culture is our biggest export. That's our biggest influence in other countries, because you have places like Germany and other places that, you know,
like Michael Jackson and David Hasselhoff.
Madonna.
yeah, Madonna. There's a lot of the same artists that play around there.
Yeah.
So, like for example, it's a running joke with in a friend circle of mine, where my friend will play. I think it's called "We're in the Army Now." And that song, he has it in his playlist, and I told him, I was like, multiple times, I'm like, can you remove that or not play it when we're in the car? And so, but it will play in the car like 3 or 4 times, and I'll be like, come on, man.
Why?
And I'll hear that song over and over, and now it's
That's an old song.
yeah.
Wow.
Do you guys have many conventions over there that you go to?
We do actually have. It's a lot of smaller ones, so it's not like BrickFair or Brick World where they're huge halls and whatnot. But like Brick in Bavaria is the largest one and most, I would say, most popular one in Germany. Did have Fanwelt, which is was hosted near Essen. That one I don't think they're doing anymore, or they decided to skip now a couple of years, because I haven't seen that one around for a while. But then there's also some other ones, like for example, there's IDS convention, which is up there near Essen. It's in a smaller town north of it, and that's hosted by Imperium der Steine, which is like one of the original Star Wars lugs that was created.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so that's one that I'll be attending with a bunch of people that I know, especially in Rebel Lug. And we'll be doing that, I think in November is when that convention happens.
I know in general European homes are smaller. A lot of homes don't have basements or extra rooms that you can just devote to Lego.
Yeah.
And because Lego is a thing you constantly collect and it takes up space, how does the average European AFOL handle that? Is there a lot more trade-in with that? How do they handle, or are they just more selective with what they purchase?
I think it's more selective with what they purchase, because I know a lot of people that they'll build creations that are really well and detailed, but then when I get to see their collection room, I'm like, oh, this is smaller than I thought it would be, or this is a lot more condensed in a way. I know for my own self, I would love to have a much larger Lego room, but just because my room is like under the roof, like it's sort of got like a slant, because of like the condensed space that I have to be also selective. So therefore I've also sort of grown like, not a hatred, but like a dislike towards having a lot of sets. I think in general nobody should have like a ton of sets like on display. I think having figures is much cooler and having them on display. And so I like to also display my own MOCs in my rooms. Or in my room, I should rather say. Because the way I do it is I have it split between my Lego room, and then I have downstairs in the basement a studio where I can sort of photograph all of my creations and do my videos and stuff.
But you wouldn't say there's a larger market for trade-ins and things like that, or stores like ours that deal with that?
There are some I've visited. It's not like here where, for example, you've got a Bricks and Minifigs in almost every state. That I think would be really cool to have, but like obviously to operate something like that, the costs are much higher in Germany. Like you've got different tax laws. You have different regulations on like how can you sell certain used items, obviously. And so over there, I think a Bricks and Minifigs would be great, something like that, or like a store like yours, I think would be great, but the rules are just different.
Yeah.
So
it'd be harder for us to succeed.
Correct.
Okay.
It's hard enough here
That's
in
it.
America.
Yeah.
A lot of people buy things online, and I think it's very concentrated now on either eBay or Bricklink. So if you're going to go get a part, if you're going to get a minifig, a set, whatever you're trying to get, you're going to go to those two places. Now, if there's a store that is nearby and it's grown in like popularity and it's like very well known, then obviously, like for example, you guys have a lot of like famous people that come through here and talk about it on their YouTube channel, talk about it in like a video or in a podcast, and so that is more informed. Like a lot of people are obviously coming through here. Over there, it's a little bit different. We don't have like an M&R Productions or a Solid Brick Studios or some of these like larger YouTubers that will like go to these stores, and because of like, hey, I got these clone troopers or I got these sets.
Is there in general a large attitude difference between an American AFOL and a European or German AFOL? Is there one, or is it pretty much the same?
There's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference. I think Europeans as a whole are very, very straightforward with what they want as for like their hobby and whatnot, because that's the other thing that I was going to also just sort of mention, but I'll get to that in a moment. But like the attitude-wise, Europeans are a lot more straightforward. Americans are also straightforward, but they've got like this kindness in like how they're trying to say it, or this nature of how they're saying it, instead of, hey, I want those 2x4s. Is there a chance I could get those 2x4s? Like for example, I don't know. So there is a difference in how the attitude works between
There's just
Americans
more straightforward bluntness, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would definitely say that.
It's kind of like the difference between the North and the South here in the States, probably as well.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that too. Like for example, I know Germans, for example, there's a lot of mock builders that want things exactly a certain way, and then you got a lot of Americans who also want that, but they don't mind taking sort of certain sacrifices in order to say, hey, this will look better. But a German, for example, I know plenty of German builders that will take plenty of time, months, even years, to build something in order to get it perfectly how it shaped or however they want it angled, like on a spacecraft or on a build or on a building. There is a difference, and a lot of times because these sacrifices are made here in America, like for certain builds and techniques. That's why it's a lot more well known over here. And then over in Europe, you have like the more refined stuff. So for their mocks.
The conventions in Germany, what kind of stuff do you see there versus America? What makes it different? The builds there, like is there more Star Wars? Is there more Technic?
It's weird because you do have a lot of city layouts over here with like trains and like modular buildings or like buildings in general. We have that over there too. I think if anything, it's less of like not the underskilled builders, but the builders that are sort of starting out. There's less of that at a convention. It's a lot more like, not to say quality is more like over there than over here, because there's a lot of builds at like at a BrickFair, because there's a lot of space. You got like 1,000 attendees that are going there. Versus at Brick in Bavaria, you've got about 300, and a lot more people are working on their creations and making sure that is up to par with what else is being brought there.
A little more professional.
A little more professional, yeah.
So, if I'm interpreting this right, the more casual or newer fan usually doesn't come into a convention and display their stuff.
Right.
Usually they're displaying their stuff. They've been in it a while. They've worked on it for a long time. Whereas in America, you have a lot more of the casual or new builder.
Right. But yeah, because going to a convention that's meant for plastic bricks, that's sort of like, somebody has to like really be a fan in order to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's obviously interesting to go to a Lego convention and see all these different mocks displayed by people from around Europe. A lot of people aren't going there and like saying, hey, I brought my first mock and I'm really ready to get to meet people, which is something that I've noticed here in the US. That's something that's really prevalent. Yeah. Like I know for a fact, like Brick World 2019, we had a friend that came there. He was now in our friend circle, a very nice guy. His name is Garrett. He just showed up at Brick World with a small build, didn't know anyone. Brick World is one of those conventions where it's like, if you're not in a group already, or if you're not in a like, it's going to be a little bit harder to sort of fit in. But because he was just being himself and he wasn't trying to like overly impress a lot of people, he just sort of, sunk in and like became a part of the group. Versus over there, that might be a little bit more difficult, and you don't see that all the time.
Yeah.
Versus again, Brick World and BrickFair, you see that all the time.
It's such a difference. It's kind of the stereotype of America and Europe. It's like America's all inclusive. Anyone can do it. Anyone can come off the street and just walk in and do it. We're not going to judge you too hard. Whereas the Europeans are much more about the proficiency and the being really into it.
There's no judging. Like, there's been people that come to a Brick in Bavaria or a European convention. They'll do that. They'll just like show up with a build. They'll like obviously sign up and have everything ready. But I felt like
more rare.
It's a lot rarer. Yeah. So I think there's a lot more over there than over here, or a lot more over here, I should rather say, than over there. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Well, I got to pick up my kids for karate pretty soon. Any other questions?
Yeah. So real quick, we got the German soccer team came out. What, 2000? Gosh, it's been a while now. Actually,
we had 2014, or 2015. Yeah,
wow, it doesn't seem like it's been that
actually
long.
No, it's 2016 actually.
2016. Were you there when they came out?
Yeah, I did. I was there.
Did you buy a lot?
Yes, because I would buy the boxes and then put them on eBay and sell them to people here in the U.S.
Oh, man. I had a friend that was living over in Belgium, and he was going across the border and getting them for me. But it was a drive. It wasn't that close.
No.
And
yeah.
It would have been nice to have somebody in Germany to
He's our
to
in
do
now.
that.
I'm the contact. I'm the contact.
Noah's our guy, yeah.
That's right.
Are those still kicking around a lot there, or
there are? In fact, I have a sealed box at home of them. Like I've got like several people that I know that still have sealed boxes, and from time to time, it just depends on like who's looking for them. They'll pull them out and be like, all right, yeah, I've got some boxes, I'll sell them to you. But I remember back then when they first came out, like I bought I think 4 or 5 boxes, put them up on eBay. Sold them for like two times the amount. Would go back, spend the profits on getting more, and then just do the process over and over again until like it sort of died down. But I'd sell the boxes to like all over. I think Canada, like there was a bunch of them that went there. California, oddly enough, even though they get like a lot of the figure parts and stuff as we discussed, there were so many people in California who wanted those boxes. Sealed boxes with those minifigures inside them.
We had them coming out of our ears at one point, and I got a dozen boxes.
Okay.
And just from different people, they were bringing them in. I had gotten them, and I went out of my way at first to get them, and then they were just coming in, and I was paying retail price, which was like $4 a figure, a bag.
Right.
And I was like, oh, these aren't hard to get, but now they're gone.
Yeah.
And we don't see them at all anymore. And the prices have now finally gone up.
Yeah, the supply is definitely like dwindling just because. I mean, at first people didn't really have an interest in them, and then all of a sudden, like soccer is becoming more of an interest in American culture and American society. So a lot of people are interested in that. Now you also have a lot of soccer clubs that are happening in America that are also competing internationally. So yeah, there's definitely a reason why like people are now looking at those and being like, oh, I want the full set of the 20. Cause the team is based off of the lineup from the 2014 World Cup. So you've got all like the different characters or all the different people that participate in that World Cup. I want to say that this was a great experience talking to you two, and I look forward to seeing the further podcast with all the different special guests here. I think this is a great setup. I really like it.
Awesome. Other than the lights being a little hot.
The lights are a little bright. But yeah, no, it's been great. No, it's been a fantastic time. So.
Well, thank you so much for coming down here and speaking to us about this and giving us your unique perspective.
Yep.
Stuff you'll only find at Atlanta Brick Co. TV. On YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Listen to us on the podcast. So we're going to exchange, right? John's going to your house, right? In Germany?
I guess we are.
Can we send him? Just put him in a box and
I think he's short enough to be put into a box. I think he's short enough. We sort of measured up. I think he's short enough to fit in a DHL box.
Okay. Just poke some holes in it.
Poke some holes. That's right.
Well, thank you so much.